Hello and welcome to my channel, the genus Anubias. And to be honest, and then right from the beginning I will tell you, it's not my favorite genus. So why I do a video about these plants? It's very simple. My friend Thomas Minesi from Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo, has sent me some videos and they just blew me away. I mean, I feel that the genus Anubias is in the trade, in the hobby for 100 years. I mean, they have been described in 1800 and something, as far as I remember. So in the 1850s, I think. And so they are a long time known, and they have been described, the genus was described after the Egyptian god Anubis. And I still, sometimes people that don't know so well about the genus, they confuse it and they always talk about Anubis, the plant. So in fact, they are not wrong. If they read it and they cannot remember it, so it was named after the Egyptian god. So the god of the afterlife. Very interesting, in fact. So they in fact are right just from their intuition. So these plants are characterized by broad, thick, dark leaves, and they come in many different forms. There's as far as I remember, 20 described species, but a lot of varieties and breeding forms. And especially Tropica and Denderle are responsible for many of them that we have in the trade. And when I remember when I was a kid in the 80s and 90s, there has been not a big selection of plants available in the trade. And especially like me, I kept Malawi cichlids and other big cichlids. Back then, the Malawis in the 80s, 90s, they have been very popular. And what plant could you use for an aquarium except Anubias, the Java fern, and cryptocorynes? There was not too much left for if you like to keep like Malawi or Tanganyika cichlids. So I had to get some of those, but I never was a big fan. But the video of Thomas Minesi really changed my view on them. I'm a nano guy, and probably you know that from my channel. And I love smaller plants, more filigrane plants, like more the typical Eleucharis pusilla, the needle leaf grasses, the little small ferns. But Thomas Minesi showed me some videos of the habitat and it just blew me away. So that's why I do this video, because also I knew from the past that Anubias grows usually on rocks or on bogwood, so outside of the water. But Thomas showed me in his videos that the plant can even grow in the sand. And that was like mind-blowing to me. And you guys know that I love these habitats with clear water and where you can really see the whole thing underwater and not just in a swampy, dark, cloudy water. So Thomas Minesi, I really would like to thank you, and I'm hoping to get there to these places hopefully in September, October, and I will put a link to Thomas's Instagram, so you can check him out. You definitely should check him out. He has some beautiful underwater footage, and it's really worth to take a look. I will place the link just here under the video so you can check him out. And as far as I know, these are the first images of Anubias habitat. And of course we knew it from people that have been to these places but never filmed it, or have been just to one place and they saw it partly above water, partly underwater, attached to rocks. But what Thomas did, he filmed it in different locations, and in this specific location we can see that it's also growing in the sand and not just only attached to rocks or to a wood. So this is the difference, and this is what I always say: go to check an habitat, but check it in different places. The same for fish or for shrimp, and you might find them in different microhabitats. So Anubias is considered by many aquarists as some of the easiest plants to maintain because of their light and nutrition requirements. They are very low, and because fish will not eat it, because they are so strong, so hard. And this is why Anubias is some of the few plants which can be used in aquariums with African cichlids and also with goldfish. And we know that goldfish, they eat everything. So a great plant for people that don't like to have too much stress with their aquarium. So of course the genus is so successful because it's very flexible, a very flexible plant. You can attach it to all kinds of woods, you can attach it to rocks, or even to aquarium decoration like these coconut shells or any plastic decoration that you have in the aquarium. I prefer more the natural stuff, but you can do it of course with everything. In the German hobby we call them spear leaves as a common name, and if you have other names please let me know in the comments so we can find out about that as well. And we know they come from tropical West Africa. They colonize shady, moist areas in rainforest climates above and underwater, and the genus Anubias belongs to the Arum family. Araceae, that's the Latin name, just like the Bucephalandra that we also have now in the hobby, not for so long compared to Anubias, but this is Bucephalandra is a kind of a new plant, but from the same family. The shape of the leaves is variable, so therefore a correct ID of the plant, what species it is only possible with the help of the flowers. Anubias inflorescences are monoecious and hermaphroditic, so both male and female flowers grow on one spadix, hence the term monoecious. Male stamens, of which there are always several, and they are varying from species to species, that have grown together to form synandria, cover the upper 2/3 of the spadix. Female carpels sit below, so both sexes grow on one inflorescence. Therefore, they are hermaphroditic. This all sounds probably a little bit crazy, but I had to translate it from German to English. I have not found anything in English that describes it as well as the German description. So in Germany we have a lot of people that did a lot of work on Anubias, obviously, and therefore I hope you understand what I wanted to say here. Anubias grow slowly, and the individual leaves remain intact in the aquarium for several months. So generally they form only one leaf every 3-4 weeks, and in some cases every 6 weeks. And while we previously assumed that the plants do not or hardly react to the addition of CO2, we have now learned and realized that there are great results and greatly improvement growth with CO2 and a high light intensity. So definitely they respond to good nutrients and strong light, but also they can grow even when there is less of it. Unfortunately, the slow growth also means that algae grow on their leaves. And I personally don't like that. They grow slow, then you have algae on their leaves, and this is why this plant is not one of my favorites. And also here we can see that in case the plant leaves are damaged, and I think this is the work of a catfish. I've seen it at one of my friends' places that have a pet shop. You can leave it like that, but then you have these plant in your aquarium for a very long time. You can cut them off, but then again it will take a month or maybe a year until the plant looks nice again. So that's why I prefer stem plants, because if something happens I can just cut them off, and in 2-3 weeks I have the aquarium in fact totally regenerated, and then I don't have to wait for a month. And my friend uses them also in his shop. It's called Aqualounge, and he has in every aquarium where he sells fish, because also of the low light, he has Anubias, as you can see. And not in every tank they are damaged. Just in this special tank that I showed you before, I found one where there was a catfish and he totally destroyed that Anubias. But in general, it works well. To get an overview of what's available on the market and in stores, I went to Denele Plants, and the company is only 15 minutes away from my house, and I wanted to look at the new stuff and get a little bit of information about what's in trend and at the moment available, what they're growing in their incredible greenhouses, and I wanted to show you a few plants that you might not know yet and that might be interesting for you to look at. I was lucky the day I went to the Denele greenhouses, because that day the ladies were working on the Anubias plants and Anubias deco, and preparing them for sale to the trade and pet shops. So I thought it might be interesting for you to see how this is done. And Anubias is still a top seller at Dennerle Plants. The big Anubias bartery mother plants are certainly a big seller. There are hundreds of them here. They grow in these tents for several months, and these tents are in the greenhouse, and that's really an impressive sight. A variant that I wasn't familiar with before was the Anubias bartery coin leaf, a small, rather compact growing form, and due to the rounded shape of the leaves, it is called coin leaf. If you have a smaller Anubias in your tank or in some of the nano tanks, that is probably one of the most widespread plants of this genus Anubias. It's called Anubias bateri, the variant Nana. And here we see a whole army of Anubias bateri, and the variety is called glabra, which looks nothing like the classic barteri because it has these narrow elongated leaves, and which is often incorrectly referred to as Anubias lanceolata. When Anubias Nana Pinto came onto the market, and I can still remember it well, it was the Interzoo a couple of years ago, there was a great excitement among plant-loving aquarists, and the aquascapers in particular were thrilled. And this white-green pattern comes from a normal green stalk, and it was a genetic mutation. And if they're totally white, then they are called snow white. And to get the Anubias Nana Snow White, I went online because Dennerle and Tropica are not selling this plant, and we at Garnelio.com, we are also not selling it, but because we know why. Anyway, I said, okay, I will order it to see what exactly happens so I can document it. And I found a company that sells it, so I ordered it. So my package arrived with the white Anubias. I hope I can open it with one hand. Of course, it's more difficult. Let me see if I can open it like that. Oh yeah, it's working. So this is the Anubias that I ordered a couple of days ago. Okay, some material here. The invoice. A heat pack that's not really warm. And it's very well packed. Okay, let's put this to the side. Okay, aluminium foil, but it was not that cold outside, so I have to open this one. Give me a sec. Okay, I opened the tin foil. It's tiny. What is that? Holy moly. And total, well, let's go and check it out. Under the sunlight, so we find the thing. It's tiny. So with shipping, it was nearly 18 euros for this little piece, and then they are not in a good shape. Yeah. So I put them in an aquarium with a lot of light, intense light, and after a couple of days I already could see that this is not working. After weeks the plant was nearly gone. It was totally dissolved. I can just warn you that this will not work. Don't buy white Anubias. It's a waste of money and you will be just disappointed. Why? That I will explain you in a second. All of these white plants are only available as in vitro plants. The plants that are mottled and also have a green component in the leaves are also available as potted plants, as I have already shown you before. These plants still have chlorophyll content and can therefore take care of themselves. The white plants have no chlorophyll content and are therefore unable to provide for themselves. The nutrient gel in these in vitro pots supplies the glucose. These nutrient scales are in the broadest sense sugar solutions because plants need glucose to maintain themselves, And that is why they're only delivered as in vitro, because it would not work any other way. So the white plant can get the glucose from outside and doesn't have to produce it itself. In the aquarium, this is not working. A new and very special variety is the Anubias Nana Jade. And the name clearly refers to the most important gemstone in China. And this Anubias contains all shades of green and also shows a special grain in the form of small veins, stripes, pattern and spots. The Anubias that we see here, if it was after me, this is my favorite Anubias, if I had to choose one. Why? Because of the leaves. They look freshly green, golden green. It's Anubias Nana Gold. And this variety was discovered in Taiwan, and it took years to breed it or to reproduce it in a quality that could serve us. And in an aquarium, you should not keep it under low light, because then the leaves will get dark again. If you want to keep it golden, you have to add a lot of light. A form that I have never seen before was this one. I was really surprised. For me, it looked more like the cryptocoryne at the first view, and then I saw, holy moly, this is Anubias, and it's called Anubias Nana Kirin. It's a beautiful cultivated form. The name Kirin comes from East Asia and describes a dragon-like mythical creature with 1 or 2 horns. The skin of this imaginary animal is covered in scales, perhaps a reference to the strongly wavy edges of these leaves. And in Denali plants you always find some secret tents with new stuff, and I took a look inside and I found this new Anubias, still a secret. And when the reproduction is big enough, they will sell it under the name Anubias Battery Stardust. It's not a secret anymore now. A variety that is currently sold out at Denali Plants is the Anubias Battery, the variety Pangolino. And this plant is one of the Anubias forms with the smallest leaves, and it's still very rare. And on the other side of the Pangolino, I discovered this Anubias. It's called Anubias Minima Dragon Claw, and it's a very special plant. If you have heard this name before, let me know in the comments. For me, this was completely new. If Anubias gets yellow leaves or they rot away, it is usually the cause of a bacteria, according to my friend Stefan Hummel. He's the plant hunter, and he should know, because he worked in these greenhouses for many, many years. And this bacteria can quickly endanger all of the Anubias that you have in your tanks. So how to avoid this? In my view, it's the best if you buy in vitro plants, and then you will not have this problem. I already mentioned that I was lucky this day because the ladies worked in the Anubias, and just in that moment where I filmed, the ladies tied Anubias to Mopani Wood that day. They use a very thin fishing line or some kind of plastic thread here. I have always used sewing thread in the past, but Rainer Frank, who also works here and took me to show me the place, even if I knew it, but he walked me around. He said that the sewing threads are soaked with a chemical, some kind of dye, and therefore could potentially harm the shrimp. So in the future I also will use the fishing line more than to use still the sewing threads. In one of my last videos I talked about the problems that Mopani wood can cause in a shrimp aquarium. And because I had Rainer Frank here, I asked him about how they do it. And they told me that all these roots come from South Africa, and usually they are buried in the sand. And if they are not totally dried out and the wood still has some plant juices in them, and if they are not cooked, will later form a slime on the outside that can harm the shrimp. So Denali Plants boils all the roots so that the plant juices are boiled out and the slime is no longer formed if you put it in your aquarium, and the shrimp will be safe. So this is how they do it. And you have probably seen it already. At Garnelio we have all the different types of Anubias, And here you also can see the new ones, like the coin leaf. I didn't even know that we have it on our webpage. So we are really up to date. This was my little expedition to the plants of the god Anubis, the god of darkness, the god of the dead. And I want to give thanks to Thomas Minessi, who really inspired me to make this video, and I hope I can visit him in September. We have planned this already for a long time. It didn't work out because there came Corona and I could not go to this place, but I hope it works out this year and I can see and film Anubias in the wild, because I love these clear waters and I love to film underwater. Also Lukhaup, another place that I will go with Thomas hopefully, and check out his Instagram. I will put a link in under this video. And yeah, the next trip will be Madagascar and Mauritius. In a couple of days I will start my trip, 3rd of April, and I hope I can make a lot of videos there, show you the nature of both countries, which is very interesting. And underwater I have not seen any videos of these places. I hope to find a lot of shrimp, invertebrates, but also fish and plants. So I hope you can join me. Thanks a lot for taking your time to watch this video. And I see you in the next video. And if you want, you can subscribe, give it a like, but just if you want. If not, the God of Darkness will look after you. Cheers.